going on, y'all? We are back once again. Welcome into the Jump. It's been a minute. A lot of life happening. I'm currently filming this January 31st, right after Kentucky's horrific loss to the Florida Gators. Shout out to Todd Golden. Bad loss. But there's a lot to get to. There's been a lot happened in the sports world since the last time I've done a podcast. So, with that being said, we'll get straight into it. First of all, big news that happened a few weeks back. Kalen DeBoer was named the head coach at Alabama. Dan Lanning had turned it down. Steve Sarkisian turned it down. Mike Norvell turned it down. It was the best choice they had. I like the move. It seemed like the Alabama AD, he had his eyes on him for a while. So it seems like that's who Alabama wanted. And the question was, would he bring Ryan Grubb with him? He does. So that kind of hurt for Tommy Rees. But I'll talk about what Tommy Rees is getting into here in a second. But for Kalen DeBoer, his record overall as a head coach, 104-12. You're talking about, if you look at this from a black and white perspective, and you say, all right, Alabama's got to go find a new coach to replace the greatest coach of all time. They're looking around, and then you're like, oh, all right. They get this head coach that had just taken his team to an undefeated season until the national championship, won his conference, went to the college football playoff, and has an 104-12 overall record. That's pretty good. I'll take that any day of the week. But Kalen DeBoer, I love it. I feel like he's got the mentality to be the coach. Obviously, there's been tons of interviews and stuff since then. It feels like he's doing what's right. And obviously, you won't be Nick Saban. So he's got to be himself. He has to. You can't follow greatness trying to be what they were. And I think he'll do good at sticking to what he does. Like I said, he was at Washington, 25-3 in his 2 years at Washington. It was crazy. I mentioned Ryan Grubb. Like I said, he's following him. But Tommy Rees, obviously, he was the OC at Alabama last year. He's hired as a co-offensive coordinator at Georgia, but then takes a job at the Cleveland Browns as the tight ends coach. So, he's kind of moving up, getting to the NFL. Shout out to Tommy Rees. Love that guy. But DeBoer also brought Jamarcus Shepard, the wide receiver coach, Jarrett McElwain, the director of scouting. And I don't know if it happened yet or not, but there was talk of him bringing their D-line coach and running back coach. I'm assuming that decision's been made. I haven't paid too much attention to it. It's basketball season now. But he's bringing who he knows. And, I think that's going to be... It's better to start that way because you're obviously going to have a new roster and stuff, so it's better to know your coaching staff, I guess. So that's kind of the approach he's going with. And Alabama also hired South Alabama's head coach, Kane Womack, as their new defensive coordinator. So shout out to, Alabama. It's not only did you lose your greatest head coach of all time, you lost everybody. But it's a fresh start, and I think it's all great moves for the university. I love all these moves, but the three biggest transfers out. Caden Proctor started every game for him, left tackle, number one offensive lineman in the class of 23. He just transferred to Iowa. Caleb Downs, which was groundbreaking when he entered the portal, number one overall recruit in the class of 23. He transfers to Ohio State. I'll mention more about Ohio State here in a minute, but if Ryan Day can't win the Big Ten and beat Michigan and make the college football playoff and make honestly a national championship with this roster, it's literally time to fire him. Because once I read some of these names that they have now, there's no reason they shouldn't be absolutely dominant next year. They also lost Julian Sayin, the five-star QB, number one quarterback in the class of 25. He transfers to Ohio State as well. So they lost an entire haul, basically. So that's three of the big ones that I had noted. But I mentioned Ohio State. They just landed the number one player in the portal, Caleb Downs, and the number one recruit in the class of 24, Jeremiah Smith. And then two top five QBs in the class of 24, Julian Sayin and Aaron Nolan. It's unreal what they have done recruiting-wise. And, I don't necessarily think it's a Texas A&M situation, but the Texas A&M AD just left A&M to go to Ohio State. I don't know. There might be a little connection, but they've gotten the inside offensive lineman, Seth McLaughlin from Alabama, Will Howard from Kansas State, Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. Their QB room might literally be the greatest quarterback room of all time. Will Howard, he was the number 6 quarterback in the portal. Devin Brown, number 5 QB in the class of 22. Lincoln Keenholz, number 11 quarterback in the class of 23. Aaron Nolan, number 4 QB in the class of 24. And Julian Sand, number 1 quarterback in the class of 24. They have 3 top 5 quarterbacks in their respective class and the number 6 QB in the portal. So it's insane. Like this room is unreal. I'm imagining that a few of these guys transfer out whenever that spring recruiting window opens or whatever. But them getting Quinshon Judkins is crazy. They now have, I already mentioned the greatest quarterback room probably ever. They have the best running back room in college football. Travion Henderson returning and getting Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. Like, it's unreal. Like, it's so crazy what Ohio State's done in this offseason. But to replace Kalen DeBoer at Washington, they get Jedd Fisch. So one of the hottest names in the country coming from Arizona. He comes in with a tough task, though. 10 days after the national championship had ended, Washington had lost every single offensive starter that they had in that game. Yeah, but they somehow kept Will Rogers. So the second all-time leading passer in SEC history stays to play for Jedd Fisch. And I'll mention some other names that I thought were going to go with Jedd Fisch, but they didn't. Brent Brennan replaces Jedd at Arizona, coming from San Jose State University. Ted McMillan and Noah Fafita returned to Tucson, which is wild. Like, I thought, no doubt in my mind, within a day they'll follow Jedd Fisch, but I guess it was more of a. I mean, those two were high school teammates. Like, obviously, they're kind of a package deal, but I think it's cool. I mean, Noah Fafita was my early dark horse to win Heisman next year, so I think staying there with Brent Brennan is going to be good for him. And I think they can keep it rolling how they did. I love the Jedd Fisch hire, though. It was kind of funny. Jedd Fisch, as soon as he got the job, changed his profile picture, changed his bio, changed everything, like almost as if he was trying to get out of Arizona. But yeah, so all the job replacements, I don't even know who took the San Jose State job. Kind of irrelevant to me, but all the domino effect of Nick Saban. And also, I mean, I guess Sarkisian is the only coach from the college football playoff that is returning to his actual school that he was at in the playoff. So that's wild. NFL-wise, speaking of that college football playoff, Jim Harbaugh takes the head coaching job with the Los Angeles Chargers, his former team. Sharon Moore gets promoted as the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. It was the right move. Didn't take long. Everybody expected it. I thought it was either Sharon Moore or they're going to talk Brian Kelly into taking that job. I like the Sharon Moore move. Like, what more does he need to prove? That's kind of my thought. And, the guys love him. Just an all-time locker room coach. So, shout out Sharon Moore. Shout out the Wolverines. I love the move. Excited for them going forward. A little rundown of the playoffs, though. The last time I had uploaded a video, I had said, enjoy some wild card football. This has all happened. We are now days away, or a week and a half away from the Super Bowl happening. So I'm going to do a rundown. Texans beat the Browns 45-14. C.J. Stroud is the youngest starting quarterback to win a playoff game since 1950. So basically ever. But impressive from C.J. Stroud. Dominance, 45-14. Chiefs beat Dolphins 26-7. This game was on Peacock. I didn't watch it. Dolphins are now 0-11 in their last 11 games when it's been less than 40 degrees. The Packers beat the Cowboys, abused the Cowboys, really. Jordan Love was balling, had the first perfect passer rating in NFL playoff history. Packers won 48-32. This was the 28th straight season that the Dallas Cowboys failed to make an NFC Championship game. They've had 8 one-and-done playoff appearances since the start of 1996. Bad look. And the Packers now have more playoff wins at AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys do. That is also a horrible look. That's really bad for the Cowboys. Lions beat the Rams in the kind of revenge game. But Lions won 24-23. What a game it was. It was the first ever playoff game at Ford Field. So that was a nice little stat for Ford Field. And it was also the Lions' first playoff win since 1992. So I actually just watched the Bye Bye Barry documentary. 92, what a year for Detroit. Been miserable since then. So shout out to Lions getting it done there. Bills beat the Steelers 31-17. Buccaneers beat the Eagles 32-9. What a collapse from the Eagles. Started 10-1, finished 1-6 after that. Jason Kelce was in tears, and he told the guys after the game that he was retiring, but then didn't retire. So I don't really know. If this is the end, he played 13 seasons, Super Bowl 52 champ, 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time first-team All-Pro. I don't know. There's rumors of him not retiring and then waiting till the end of the season and retiring with Travis on new heights. So I don't know if that's really what's actually about to happen. That'd be crazy. Talk about views on a video, though. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's inevitable that he's going to retire. He should have retired last year with how his body was. He played another year. I don't know. But speaking of the Buccaneers' win over the Eagles 32-9, this is a list of QBs with a playoff win for multiple franchises. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and the GOAT Baker Mayfield. What a list he's on now. The divisional round. Texans at Ravens. Ravens won 34-10. Packers at 49ers. 49ers had won 24-21. Under Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers were 0-31 when trailing by 5 or more going into the fourth quarter. Make that 1-31. They came back. What a way to lead by Brock Purdy also. They balled out there towards the end. And Jordan Love at the end of that game threw an absolutely awful pass. But nonetheless, impressive comeback. Awesome to see the 49ers move on there. Buccaneers at Lions. Lions won 31-23. Jared Goff is one of 5 QBs to take different franchises to championship games this century. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and Kurt Warner are the other ones. What a list to be on Jared Goff as well. Chiefs at Bills. This was Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game. Chiefs won 27-24. All 15 of Patrick Mahomes' prior playoff games had been played in Kansas City or in Super Bowl. The Damar Hamlin fake punt was an interesting way to try to script that. Stupid. Didn't ever stand a chance. You have Josh Allen on your team and you don't use him there. Whatever. Tyler Bass missed the field goal late. They probably would have lost anyways. It was Patrick Mahomes with over a minute left. All he needs is 13 seconds. Don't give him a minute. But flashback for Bills fans, though. Scott Norwood got a lot of love that day. He missed wide right in their first loss of their 4 straight losses when they were in Super Bowl 25 against the Giants. So one thing that I think is cool, though, I think it was a joke at first, and Chiefs fans were donating, thanking him. Donating to Tyler Bass's charity, donating just a crap ton of money. But then people just started doing it just to be nice, just because the guy is definitely going through something mentally after missing that. So, shout out to everybody that's donated to Tyler Bass's charity. That's just a cool thing. Sports rule at the end of the day. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce now, after that game, had the NFL record for most postseason touchdown connections. This game also, a lot of the Swiftie haters had to had to be excited. Travis threw up a heart at Taylor Swift. Also, Patrick Mahomes has made the AFC Championship every single year he's been the starter. And a bad stat for Bills fans. Bills have won 58 games over the last 5 seasons. That ties the 2017 to 2021 Saints for the most wins in 5 years without a Super Bowl appearance. Bad look. Really bad look. This game kind of said to me, Patrick Mahomes is treating the AFC how Tom Brady did. There will be phenomenal QBs that just don't make Super Bowls because this dude exists. So, as long as number 15 in the red and yellow in Kansas City, as long as he exists, kiss rings goodbye. Moving on to the championship games, AFC Championship, Chiefs at Ravens. First conference championship game ever hosted for the Baltimore Ravens. First one in the city of Baltimore since 1970, though. Chiefs got it done 17-10. Headed to their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years. This game couldn't have started out better for the Chiefs. They deferred the toss, stopped the Ravens, go down, score a touchdown. It was their 8th straight playoff game, scoring on their opening drive, which is a crazy stat. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, that was their 17th touchdown connection in the playoffs. That first drive, they just said, all right, we have the best tight end in football, we have the best quarterback in football, we'll just abuse you with them. And the touchdown on Kyle Hamilton, that was really the only bad play Kyle Hamilton had the entire game. Kyle Hamilton balled. Shout out to him, but that touchdown on him was literally the only flaw of the whole game. Then Lamar to Zay Flowers, and they had a great little celebration. They did the swag surfing, kind of mocking Taylor Swift and all them when they were doing it at Arrowhead a couple weeks back. Patrick Mahomes in the first quarter, he was 10 for 10, 86 yards and a touchdown. And in the first quarter, Travis Kelce passed Jerry Rice for the most postseason catches in NFL history. If you get on a list with Jerry Rice, you're doing something right. Lamar had that play where his pass got batted up in the air, he caught it, and ran for 13 yards. It was ridiculous. It was number one on SportsCenter. Y'all have seen it. But, I mean, you can never throw enough light on that play. That play is absolutely ridiculous. Zay Flowers, he got a huge gain. Then he gets the taunting penalty to L'Jarius Sneed. He shoved him into the ground, which I don't think is really the issue. From what Travis Kelce had said, which I'm going to trust him because he's an NFL player. You can't spin the ball, apparently. That's the equivalent of like horns down, I guess. But yeah, he spun the ball and they called the taunting penalty, which I hadn't really seen one in forever. But then Sneed got his lick back. He forced Zay Flowers to fumble on the goal line in the early fourth, which would have got it to 17-14. And yeah, that was like that was the biggest play in the game. L'Jarius Sneed got him back there. And then Lamar had that horrible late interception in the fourth. They were down 17-7 at the time. They could have kicked a field goal, but not a touchdown. And he threw to Isaiah Likely with 3 defenders around him. Like, it was... I seriously see no world where that would have been the right decision. But, yeah, I mean, it was not the best game from Lamar, and that was a way to cap it off there. I need to read some of these numbers off, though. So, this is Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady in their first 6 seasons as a starter. Patrick Mahomes, 72-22 regular season record. Tom Brady, 70-24. Playoff records, Patrick Mahomes, 14-3. Tom Brady, 12-2. AFC titles, Patrick Mahomes, 4. Tom Brady, 3. Super Bowl rings, Patrick Mahomes, 2. Tom Brady, 3. Touchdown to interception ratio, Patrick Mahomes, 258-69. Tom Brady, 167-87. And QB rating, Patrick Mahomes, 103.7. Tom Brady, 88.4. Which, that's insane how very close they are. But it also shows Patrick Mahomes is just better, in my opinion. I mean, I think he's got to get another ring or 2 to really be in the discussion. But, like, he's literally the best football player I've ever watched in my life. Like, he's ridiculous. And then this other tweet. Shout out to Rich Eisen. Patrick Mahomes, first QB to ever start in 4 Super Bowls before turning 30. Third QB to start 4 Super Bowls in a 5-season span, joining Tom Brady and Jim Kelly. 14 playoff wins behind only Tom Brady and Joe Montana. And he's having his 4th Super Bowl start. Only Brady and John Elway have more. He is putting up historic numbers that will not be touched. So yeah, I mean he'll just he'll keep going. NFC Championship, Lions at 49ers, first NFC Championship for the Lions since 1991. It's crazy. 49ers ended up winning 34-31. Lions got going quick. They had that Jameson Williams play on their first drive, and yeah, it was. I mean that literally like set the tone. They were pressuring Purdy, making tough throws, making him like. I mean, they had a couple picks. Like, it was wild. The only issue with the first half, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he was waving goodbye when the Lions went up 21-7 in the second quarter. A little premature, but they were up 24-7 at half. So he was looking good there for a second. Then the Brandon Ayuk touchdown changed everything. Some people were calling it the immaculate deflection. that was unreal. That was like phenomenal defense, and it bounces off his face mask, and Brady Knight catches that. Nearly scored a touchdown on it. They scored like the next play or whatever. There was also the play a little later on. This is where like, you realize Brock Purdy. Like, if you were a hater, you better shut up now. Because Brock Purdy, this throw to Juwan Jennings was, like, incredible. He also had one to Kyle Juszczyk on the sideline, which was crazy. The pass to Juwan Jennings was third down. It was like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, whatever. And he's rolling out left, has to completely flip his body, throw while he's getting pressured, and he lofts it so that Jack Campbell can't pick it off. And it was the most impressive throw I think I've seen him make, because like he made 5 decisions in his head at the same time. But a good Brock Purdy stat for any haters out there: the last 5 drives of this game and the last 5 drives of the Packers game, like, he has led them to 8 touchdowns on those 10 drives, or 8 scores on those 10 drives. It's crazy, just clutch. Truly clutch. Dan Campbell, he kind of needs to know when to go for it, when to not. Huge respect, though, for going out the way that, I mean, you came in. Like, they've been doing it the whole year. They've been going for it. I think it was 4th and 3 or less. They were like... It was like 4th and 3 or less. They were like 85% at like completion percentage or whatever. Like, they were getting it a lot. But there was at one point in they were down 3 and they went for it on the 30 when they should have kicked. Obviously, you can tie it. They kicked a field goal earlier in the game when they were on the 3-yard line, and they didn't go for it. So it's just very inconsistent. And then this one wasn't like going for it on 4th down or anything. They ran the ball on 3rd down on the last drive when they were down 10. And you got to call a timeout there, and that ended the game. It was just stupid. Like, it was just a stupid call. It made no sense at all. Because then you blow a timeout, and then that's the game right there. But with that being said, we now have the Super Bowl 57. We have the teams in it now. And it's the rematch of Super Bowl 54. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. This game will be next Sunday, February 11th at 6:30, Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. One stat that I have already, Brock Purdy will be the 3rd youngest quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. He will be 24 years and 46 days. I don't know if that's like currently or when it'll be started, but he's the 3rd youngest. So that's an impressive stat. And I heard, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was saying, no matter who wins the Super Bowl, they're on track with Brady, because Patrick Mahomes will be getting his 3rd Super Bowl a year after Brady did, or Brock Purdy would be getting his 1st Super Bowl when Tom Brady got his 1st Super Bowl. So, but shout out Brock Purdy, man. I love the guy. Loved him in college. Matt Campbell is a Brock Purdy merchant, but love the guy. And it's funny to see all the haters have to shut up after how clutch he's been in these playoffs. So getting into my baby here, college football. Talk a little transfer portal. Evan Stewart committed to Oregon. The rumors were Tennessee, which obviously, Kentucky fan, I need to take that down. I did not want to see him go to Tennessee. Dude is an absolute stud. Obviously, leaving from A&M, commits to Oregon. The first of many good offseason moves for the Ducks. Isaiah Bond entered the transfer portal, committed to Texas. He said Saban's retirement was 100% the reason for the move. If you don't know who he is, he's also the guy that was the one that caught the 4th and 31 catch against Auburn. Cam Ward, he originally had entered the draft in the most boring draft entry video ever, and then just pulled his name out and committed to Miami, which there was a quarterback from Albany that was committed there. So I kind of feel bad for that guy now, because he basically just got spit in his face. But it'll be cool to see Cam Ward in Miami. I'm excited for that one. And Tulane is the team of the offseason for me. They got my guy, Ty Thompson. He transferred there from Oregon. Then they got the wide receiver, Shaz Preston from Alabama. Then former Oklahoma and USC wide receiver Mario Williams, he transferred there. Coach Summerall is cooking. All three of those guys were former 5-stars. And then they also added a 4-star corner, Jaden Lewis from Alabama. So Coach Summerall, hopefully at some point, who will be the head coach of Kentucky. Love that guy. That dude is cooking right now. He literally just got there from Troy, and he is killing it this offseason so far. So shout out John Summerall for that. Some college basketball. A few weeks back from this point, first time in history that 4 of the top 5 teams had lost in a 2-day span. That barely says how crazy college basketball has been this year. 8 of the top 10 teams had lost at least once, and then Houston had lost twice in a week. It was wild. Some notes: Kansas is now 4-3 in the Big 12 for the first time in Bill Self's career. So the Big 12 is ridiculous this year. But 2 of those losses, 2 of those 3 are West Virginia and UCF. So not the best look. Ed Cooley went back to Providence for the first time. Providence won 84-76. Ed Cooley said he should get a raise for bringing that type of crowd to the game. But there's also some Jeff Goodman beef with a certain, it's a DePaul account that made a documentary that Jeff Goodman didn't like. It was about Ed Cooley. I got to watch it. But yeah, there's some beef in the college basketball world over that. But Providence gets their lick back. Obviously no B-Hop right now. But Devin Carter's balling, and that's all they needed. I mentioned horns down earlier. The Rodney Terry horns down, the first instance of the year where it was like, yeah, you're acting like a woman. UCF beat Texas on their home court and then did the horns down, and Rodney Terry said, you're not acting classy, act like you've been here or something, and tried to say all this stuff. I mean, beat them. It simply just beat the guys, and you don't have to worry about that. Whatever. Nate Oates, he also had a little controversy. He pushed a Missouri player. I can't remember what player it was, but Nate Oates continues to just be very easily hateable. Obviously, the whole Brandon Miller situation was handled. I don't think you could possibly handle it worse, honestly. But yeah, he pushed a Missouri player. Kind of wild that you can just push another team's player, but so be it. And then there was a Caitlin Clark controversy. So Caitlin Clark, obviously like the GOAT of women's basketball. She was jogging off the floor after Ohio State had upset them and ran into a fan, and Caitlin Clark flopped very bad. Honestly, I mean, I'm sure they both got a little banged up from it. Like, they were both running nearly full speed. But Caitlin Clark did like a double spin to try to sell it. So it was a bad look for Mrs. Clark. But I don't even know if anything happened out of it. And by the way, I'm pro court storming. Just want to go ahead and get that out there. But I know there's been a lot of controversy with the court storming this year up to this point. So I'll talk about my Cats. I mentioned it up top that we had just lost, but I'm going to run through all these games that we've played since the last time I shot a podcast. So we played at A&M, lost 97-92 in overtime. Then we played at home versus Mississippi State, won 90-77. Then we had a home game versus Georgia, won 105-96. Big Z had his debut. Literally felt like the best debut of all time. Dan Issel hadn't tweeted in almost 2 years, and he said, I like this 44. Simple. But he's got Dan Issel's approval, our GOAT. So, in this game, we had 96 points with 7:43 left in the game. It was wild. But yeah, Big Z, I mean, he was sitting there behind the back passing, blocking on his first possession. He hit 3 threes, basically 4 threes. The fourth one, his foot was on the line. He was out there, MJ, shoulder shrugging, like it was the coolest thing ever. I felt kind of bad for Mike White, Georgia's head coach. How do you prepare for that? Like, he got cleared the day of the game, and you had zero scout for him. And then he just goes out there and just looks like the greatest basketball player of all time. But, yeah, they still scored 96 on us, so wasn't a great look. Then we played at South Carolina the following Tuesday, lost 79-62. It didn't really bother me too much because the parity in college basketball this year has been way crazier than I can ever remember. And, I mean, Purdue had lost by 16 at Nebraska. UConn had been killed at Seton Hall. Like, this stuff had happened this year. I wasn't really worried about it. But before that game, I was telling people South Carolina was legit. And they had a huge win over the Vols yesterday. So, South Carolina, man, like they're going to play spoiler until they get the respect they deserve. And that's going to be a team that I can see going deep in March. They got the playmakers. They don't foul a whole lot. They turn you over, play great defense. Like, that's a dangerous team. I saw some people saying it feels like 2017 for them. Obviously, they made the Final Four that year. So, they kind of dominated us, but I wasn't really tripping over it. Then we played at Arkansas on Saturday. We won 63-57. It was a gritty win. We struggled early. We had Reed at point guard that game because Rob was sick, and we had DJ kind of at the 2. And it actually worked. DJ off ball was actually really well. And we kind of had Justin Edwards. I think it was Cal had said, obviously, Justin to this point has been very disappointing. I love the guy, always rooting for him. But he had been disappointing. So a way to get him out of the lineup, out of the starting lineup, he said he had a knee injury in a scrimmage in practice. I think that was a lie, but he's covering up for the kid. Can't blame him. So there was halfway Justin Edwards, I guess. He played a little bit. Played all right. I mean, he played fine. But yeah, Reed at PG in that one. So that was interesting. Arkansas made it a close game the whole time. But we ended up getting that one 63-57. We started 3 for 21 from the field in that one and trailed by 10 in the first half. It's a solid win. Take that any day of the week. When you can play bad and you can win on the road, it's impressive. It was the best defensive game we played to that point. And then tonight, home versus the Florida Gators, a team that numerous times on this channel, numerous times to people I just come across out in the world, this team is nothing to play around with. Todd Golden, I watched him an unhealthy amount of hours when he was at San Francisco. I have loved how he's coached. And, he brings back Riley Kugel. He gets Walter Clayton. He's got size. He's got, what is there not to like about this team? They've had a couple bad games, but, this is a dangerous team. We ended up losing in overtime. We lost 94-91. People were kind of glancing over these games. This isn't your grandpa's SEC anymore. I heard somebody say that. This SEC team, whoever wins the SEC tournament is going to have one of the most impressive runs of all time. And I truly believe 11 of the 14 teams right now could win the SEC. And we're going to get 6-7 teams in March. So it's going to be crazy. But no Justin in this game and no DJ, which we're 0-2 now without DJ. So for all of you haters and think the DJ was kind of overrated and stuff, that dude is the engine of the team, and I hope you can see now why we need him. So hopefully he'll be back for a big opportunity Saturday. But Ugo was hooping. Ugonna Onyenso almost transferred in the offseason, and he came back, started this game, and played a lot. He ended up with 13 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 blocks. He was on triple-double watch in the first half. So he balled out. This is a horrible loss. We were up 4 with 37 seconds left. Dumb defensive play by Reed on the last. We were up 3. John Rothstein always says 3 rules you gotta live by. Something. Always foul when you're up 3 late. We did not foul. And Reed jumps on a pump fake on a 3, and Walter Clayton hits a 3, sends it to OT. Rob also missed a free throw that would have got us up 4 with 13 seconds left. So, it's a bad look. It was a really bad loss. But after this game, our next 4 games are versus top 10 teams in the net. So it doesn't get easier. The SEC is a gauntlet. It's not the Big 12, but it's right behind it. Second best basketball conference this year. Going to run through some teams, talk about them. Houston. They were a combined 46-6 in regular season league games during their last 3 years in the AAC. They started 1-2 in Big 12 play. So that just says that's honestly proof that Gonzaga wouldn't be as good. I mean, obviously this year they wouldn't. But just over all these years where everybody's been like, oh, Gonzaga would still be fine if they went to the Big 12, Pac-12, whatever. Houston's now 6-2. Tough test Saturday, but yeah, they started 1-2 in Big 12 play. It's crazy. UConn, ranked number 1 right now. When they got moved up to number 1 like 2 weeks ago, it was their first time being ranked number 1 since 2009, which I think is wild. They're currently 18-2. They're 3rd in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, and they've moved up from like the mid-40s, mid-50s and stuff to 24th in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency. Ever since they got Donovan Clingan back, they've been holding teams under 60. So it's been impressive. Just for some perspective, Kentucky is 75 in adjusted defensive efficiency. But so yeah, they struggled a little bit tonight against Providence. So I guess they're not 18-2. They are. I didn't see what the final was. It was a close game at half. 28 seconds left. UConn's up 70-65. They'll win that surely. So UConn will be 19-2. They will be 9-1 in conference. Alex Caravan had to leave though, a little injury, but he came back in, checked back in that one. So a little scare turned into nothing crazy for Caravan. Duke, they had won 8 straight games, and then they lost as the number 7 team in the country at home to Pittsburgh, who was 1-5 in the conference before this. It was their Pitt's first win in Cameron Indoor since 1979. Wild. And then Blake Henson, who balled out, dropped Jared McCain, played amazing. He jumped on the scorers table right in front of the Cameron Crazies, getting a whole lot of middle fingers. He was 7 for 7 from 3, 24 points, 8 rebounds. Just a all-time like dream game that you could have in Cameron Indoor. Duke, since then, they've won 3 straight, and they're second in the ACC comfortably. So they kind of got bailed out last Saturday against Clemson, so they probably should have another loss. They got bailed out at the very end of that game. But they got the home whistle. It's expected. It's Duke. But, yeah, Gonzaga, though, they got moved out of the top 25, I think, 2 weeks ago now. It was their first time being outside the top 25 in 8 years. It hit it 8 straight years. They ended a stretch of 143 consecutive weeks being in the AP poll. They're 16-5 currently, second in the WCC, only behind St. Mary's. But they were not even a week ago 4th in WCC. So Gonzaga, man, scary hours. We get them at home. It's a must-win game for us here in a few weeks. South Carolina, brought them up earlier. They're currently 18-3 right now. They will be ranked like top 17 next week. They deserve it. They beat my Cats, as I mentioned, and then they got their first top 5 road win since 1997 when they beat Tennessee in Knoxville yesterday. What a game. I mean, Lamont Paris has those boys hooping. They held their last 4 opponents 18.7 points per game under their season average. Just lockdown. He's a Bo Ryan disciple, and it's proven in the stats. So shout out to Lamont Paris in South Carolina. I'm just happy we don't have to play him again. Yeah, what a start for him. He beat us in Rupp last year, and then whooped us at was it Colonial Life? So yeah, they got him hooping over there. Going North Carolina. Currently ranked 3rd in the country. That'll move when this next poll comes out because they just lost Tuesday. But first in the ACC right now. Started 9-0 in conference. It was their first 9-0 start in ACC play since 2001. It was wild. They're 17-4 right now. RJ Davis, he's got my vote for National Player of the Year just because of a little voter fatigue. Zach Edey is obviously going to win it, but RJ Davis needs more love. He's averaging 21.2 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, and 3.3 assists per game while shooting 45% from the field. That team, without him, would have a huge drop-off. And I heard somebody mention today, like a little storyline, it would be wild, and it would suck to be Caleb Love if North Carolina ended up going to Arizona for the Final Four and winning the championship. That would be awful to be Caleb Love in that situation. North Carolina, they haven't had a guard who was first-team All-American since Joseph Forte in 2001. That might be R.J. Davis. That breaks that streak. He scored 36 at Wake Forest like 3 weeks ago. He's just been hooping. But as I mentioned, they lost Tuesday at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's now beat Duke and UNC. So the ACC, I saw the ACC has like the Psycho Circle or something. Like everybody in a circle has beat a team ahead of them. Like it's wild. But that was Georgia Tech's first win versus the top 3 team since 04-05 season. It's crazy. Shout out to Georgia Tech. That place was rocking. That was awesome. Just the Big Ten in general. This is the wise words of the GOAT, John Rothstein. He tweeted this a week or two back. One interesting thing in the Big Ten, a storyline before the league expands to 18 teams next year. Arguably the conference's top 4 brands, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Indiana, are all far from locks to play in the 2024 NCAA tournament. And that's true. I mean, Michigan State will probably end up making it. Ohio State looks horrible. Michigan somehow looks worse, and Michigan beat them. Indiana looks awful. It's so shocking how bad the Big Ten is. It's incredible how bad they are. Michigan State, obviously a horrible start to the season, like god-awful start. But they just got Tom Izzo's 700th win, and they're kind of getting rolling now. So, yeah, but they're all not locked into the NCAA tournament, that's for sure. Something I've never done, just at this point, as of January 31st, 2024, who are the teams that I think can win the national championship? I wrote a couple down. I'll say a couple more off the top of my head. I think Kentucky still can. Obviously, adversity, but I think Kentucky can. Purdue definitely can. North Carolina, UConn, and I think Tennessee can. That's 5 that I lock in. I think Kansas can just because the brand who is coaching on the sideline. The numbers love Houston. So, I'd be a fool to not say Houston. I'd say Duke. Duke still can. They're starting to get it going. They just won at Virginia Tech the other night. It's kind of like a kind of see where they're at type of game. But I think Arizona can. They are... Obviously, it's kind of forgotten. They lost to a 15 seed last year. But a lot of roster turnover, and I just feel like they work so well together. They suck on the road, but man, they're fun. I think they can. I don't know if they can rattle 6 games off though. So I'll throw them in a maybe. But same with like Auburn, same with Wisconsin. A few weeks back, I probably would have said FAU. Don't feel confident saying that, but Wisconsin, Auburn, Arizona, those are kind of some maybes. But the ones I'm confident in, I think I said 7 or 8 maybe. North Carolina, UConn, Tennessee, Kansas, Houston, Kentucky, Purdue, Duke. 8. There's 8 teams right now that can win the national championship. Now, I can confidently say that as of January 31st. So I hinted at it a little bit. This weekend, we have some good ball. Good round ball this weekend. Saturday, we have the greatest 3-game stretch in the history of basketball. Absolute cinema. Number 4 Houston at number 8 Kansas at 4 o'clock. Then it feeds straight into number 7 Duke at number 3 North Carolina at 6:30. This is saying something about how good the slate is. Somehow that was ranked the 6th best game this weekend in college basketball. It's wild. So 7 versus 3 there. And then number 5 Tennessee at number 10 Kentucky at 8:30. This is a must-win for Kentucky. I can't stand Tennessee. I hate them. They low down, they dirty, they some stitches. We gotta win this. We can't lose 2 straight here. Especially with still having to go there and still having to go to Auburn. And like I said, the SEC isn't a joke anyways. And Sunday, we have number 2 Purdue traveling to Madison to play number 6 Wisconsin at 1 o'clock. That'll probably be a Peacock game, so I'll probably have to illegally stream that. But must-see TV. A little Kentucky football, not a lot, just a little drama. Liam Cohen, it's almost like he wants to be here, but also hates it. It's like he got back with like his ex, and he's looking for something better. I don't know. But the rumor was Ohio State. Then they took Bill O'Brien to be their OC. Then it was the Bears. Then they took Shane Waldron. And then it kind of looked like it was in the clear. But as of the 31st, he interviewed today for the Buccaneers job. So, I don't know. There's also another thing to watch out for. Brian Callahan, who's the Bengals OC, he just got hired by the Tennessee Titans. There's a connection between those two. And obviously he gets the reward of coaching a quarterback that he coached in college in Will Levis. So, I think the Titans and the Buccaneers are the ones to watch out for, I guess. But I really want Liam Cohen to stay. This could be a super special year if Liam stays. And I think we'd probably lose out on some guys if he ends up leaving. But so fingers crossed, Liam Cohen returns to Lexington. To wrap the show up a little bit, I don't talk NBA a lot, but the NBA has been absolutely ridiculous. Joel Embiid scored 70 on the same night that Kat scored 62. And also, that same night, KD scored 43 without a single free throw. It was the first time ever in NBA history somebody scored 40-plus without a free throw. A few days later, Devin Booker scored 62, and Luka scored 73 in the same night. It was all within 5 days. Like, the NBA is just, like, on something crazy right now. I mean, it's fun to watch. Like, if you like offense, you eat it up. But other than that, LeBron just made his 20th All-Star game. It's an NBA record. And the night that it was either the night or the night after that got announced, he had 36 points, 20 rebounds, 12 assists. He was the first Laker with 30-20-10 since 1976, which is crazy to think of who they've had since 76. And obviously, he's the oldest player to ever have 30, 20, and 10. It feels like every time he does something, he's the oldest to do that. And I know Kareem's got to be sick of this man. He just takes all his records. The All-Star Game record was his, and then he just took that. And my guy, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, All-Star starter. It's crazy. He was literally brought into Kentucky. We pulled him from his commitment at Florida to be Quade Green's backup. Ended up taking over that starting role, getting drafted, and is on the good side of one of the most lopsided trades of all time, with the Clippers trading him to the Thunder for Paul George. So, with like 8 billion picks, it's crazy. I mean, Shai, he's not going to win MVP, but if you just like in a separate world where Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic didn't exist, Shai might win it. Like, it's crazy. Shai's been balling. Love seeing that guy hoop. But yeah, so that's a little NBA stuff there. Not a lot of NBA talk, really, from me. Tonight, as I'm filming this, Dame had his first trip back to Portland. KD had his first trip back to Brooklyn. I haven't seen either of their videos yet, but they both had tribute videos. But yeah, Draymond's back. He got Jared Vanderbilt kicked out in like one of his first few games back. And he also recorded the fastest foul I've ever seen in my life. He fouled Joel the other night before the game even started. It was 0 seconds in. It was wild. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. Yeah, there's just a whole lot of scoring. A whole lot of buckets. Jalen Brunson's been on a tear. That's kind of a controversial topic. People are saying he should be an all-star starter. But, yeah. A lot of young guys hooping, too. Alperen Sengun, he's balling. Dylan Brooks also starting to pick fights again, so he's just in his natural habitat. But, yeah, I think that would just about do it. Go follow the social medias. I post quite a bit. Starting to post more also. The Instagram is @thejumpsports_, and the TikTok is @thejumpsports. Well, with nothing else. So, but yeah, with that being said, I guess that will do it. Enjoy this college basketball slate this weekend. This is history this Saturday. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Jump. You all be safe. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Peace.